Righty. If you got your notes, please, we are continuing our talk on radicals and restrictions. When last we checked, we just finished 12E as an Egbert. We're now talking about radical root. Just a second. Yes. Let's see what you remember. I would like you to simplify the following. 6 over radical 3. First of all, can somebody tell me what's wrong with this? Why can't I just leave it the way it is? Go. Radical in the bottom. Can't have a radical in the basement. What's the cure for a regular radical in the basement? Go. By which radical? Radical 3. Where? Both sides, top and bottom. Correct. We're going to multiply by radical 3 over radical 3. The cure for a radical is to bring in another radical. That's not exactly a good life lesson, but it works in math. And if you notice, can somebody tell me, just ignoring this first part, can somebody tell me what radical 3 over radical 3 actually is? It's 1. Multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. So it should mess up our answer. It should just make it look different. Can somebody give me the actual answer? Let's see. Max.
That would be, well, unsimplified, 6 radical 3 over radical, or over 3.
The number 3. Where do you get the number 3 from?
Well, a radical square is like, the number inside the radical. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, that's true. In other words, the square and the square root cancel. Another way to think of this is radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9, which turns into the number 3. Elijah.
Isn't there a GCF in the top that you can pull out?
There is, although there's a quicker way. Does anything reduce?
Yeah.
Go for it.
6 and 3.
Go down to what?
2, right?
2 and
1.
1. So what is it now?
2 radical 3.
Yeah. Do I have to do the over 1?
No.
No. You could do 1, but I would have you simplify it further. This is your final answer. 2 radical 3. So 6 over radical 3 is equal to 2 radical 3. So you punch them both into a calculator, they'll give you identical answers. I have no idea what it is, but 1.7, 3.5, 3.4, something like that. Who knows? But they'll be identical. Does that make sense? We did not change the number. We just made it look better and got the radical out of it. Everything they can do that, I'd probably give it 200 that. Muy bien. Can you handle a hostage situation?
No.
Simplify. Okay, mathematical SWAT team. Let's see how tough you are. Oops, sorry, backwards. Hang on a second. Yeah. 5 over 2 minus radical 3. So, what's up with that? Let me see. Joe, start us off. Why can't I leave it?
Because there's radical in the
It's a radical in the basement. There's also an innocent person down here. How do you handle that?
You multiply the top and the bottom by radical 4,
Radical 4, radical 3. You can write it as 2 if you want. Just remember, why am I attacking that? Looks innocent.
It's actually radical.
It's actually radical 4 in disguise. So in other words, don't feel guilty about attacking it. You can write it as 2, that's not a problem. And I agree, radical 3, but there's one little change that has to be made. Let me see. Athen. What has to go here? Plus. Good. Why? trying to cancel things. So a radical cancels a radical, and what cancels a minus? Plus. Just make sure it's on top and bottom. Who can do the rest for me? Yeah, Elijah, question? Or
Is it a term or interval?
Oh, which one?
What is it called that you?
Oh, yes, the fancy word for doing this?
Yeah.
Conjugate.
Oh, yeah.
Conjugate.
And you asked me to do it.
Actually, Bella, question. Or answer. Go for it. Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
You distribute the first.
Okay. Tell me what that would be.
10
Uh,
plus 5 out of 3.
10 plus 5 radical 3. Good. Go ahead and FOIL the bottom for me while we're at it.
4 minus 3.
I'll do the outer first.
Oh.
Okay.
Plus
Doesn't really matter.
2 out of 3.
Uh,
Plus
Huh.
negative 2 out of 3.
plus negative 2 radical 3.
Minus 3.
And then plus what?
Minus
Plus negative 3. Excellent. Why is it regular 3?
because most of the radicals will make it 3.
Yeah, same reason as over here. Radical 3 times radical 3 cancels to make regular 3. So take over, Elijah.
The 2 radical 3, and the negative 2 radical 3 cancel.
Okay.
And,
What do you have now?
and 4 plus negative 3 is 1.
Is 1. Now, by the way, that's insanely lucky. 10 plus 5 radical 3 over 1. Can somebody give me the final answer? Go. Right, dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. 10 plus 5 radical 3. And you're done. Technically speaking, you divide both by 1. But, yeah, that's kind of boring. Nice. Question. Oh, I'm next. I'm hearing that. Okay. So, questions? All right. Now the fun begins. I mean, that was fun, don't get me wrong. But now, the really exotic stuff begins. How about that? Try that. Can I leave it? Titus, take this one.
Okay, well, that's actually radical, x plus radical 5.
Oh, well, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Everybody take a little detour. I want to show you something. It'll only take 5 minutes. But thank you for bringing that up. Oh my goodness, I would have forgotten, and that would have been awful. Can somebody tell me if this is true or false? 2 plus 3 squared equals 2 squared plus 3 squared. What do you think? Couple people, raise your hand. Go, Max.
True.
True? Anybody else?
Right.
Oh, false? Can anybody explain their answer? Go.
As you do, binomial squared, and you
How did you binomial squared?
double first,
Uh,
square the first.
Square the first,
The last.
something in the middle.
Product and square
Double the
last.
product, square the last. Yeah. In other words, squaring the first and squaring the last will miss something. Double the product has to be in the middle, plus 3 squared. So it should be, if you actually tried this, this is basically, order of operations says what do you do first? Olivia, take this one. What would you do first in here? Would you square first or add?
Square.
What does the order of operations say?
Sorry.
Yeah. How come? Because normally exponents are before addition.
Brackets are first because whatever's inside them is separate number or a separate result.
Correct. And you remember, please excuse Madeira and Sally, the parentheses, exponents, blah, blah, blah. So anything in parentheses comes before anything else. Go ahead and do that for me. So it's, don't work too hard.
It'd be 5.
5 squared equals, go ahead and do these individually for me.
It'd be 4 plus 6.
9. What is 5 squared?
5 squared would be 25.
Equals, what is this?
Oh, that'd be 13.
Is that true or false?
That'd be false.
Last time I checked, that is false. 25 is not equal to 13. So in other words, this rule is false. It doesn't work. You can't just square the first, square the last for a binomial squared. You've got to double the product as well. Doubling the product would actually work. This would be 4 plus, oh, this is a mess. This is like 6 times 2 is 12, plus 9. This is 13 plus 12, that's 25. Works like a charm. Make sense so far? Here's the reason I wanted to bring that up. Is that true or false? Who's feeling brave? Rachel?
Well, 4 plus 9 is 13.
Good,
So
so it'd be radical 13.
And then radical 4 is 2,
Uh-huh.
and then radical 3, and radical 9 is 3,
Good, which makes
35.
5.
So radical,
Is this true?
no.
No. Unfortunately, radical 13 is not 5. Radical 25 is 5. I don't even know what that is. It's like 3 point something. You know, it's horrible. Why is this a problem? What one little thing, actually, let me refresh your memory. Is this true? Here's what I did.
It's false,
False. Why?
because there's a plus sign you can't, reduce.
Correct. When there's a plus sign in the middle, you can't reduce. Guess what messed us up here?
There's a plus sign.
Plus sign. Guess what messed us up here? Plus sign. Anytime there's a plus sign, every exponent rule crashes and burns. Every last one. Plus signs are lethal to exponent rules. They're really, really super annoying in that way. So here, yeah, in other words, that was a big long story to tell you. Unfortunately, this is not radical x plus radical 5. I wish it were. It would be really a lot easier to do. But there is a slightly easier trick to get this out. It's easier than you think. You don't have to do more work than necessary. Yeah.
I have 2 options. So
Okay.
you multiply the top and bottom with radical x plus 5.
As a matter of fact, you could.
Um,
It's one radical. It's not even a hostage. Go for it. By the way, you don't have to do anything complicated. What's the top look like?
Turn radical x plus 4.
Right, you don't have to distribute anything. As a matter of fact, don't. Distributing into a radical is really tricky, and I wouldn't advise it usually. And then what's the bottom? That's easier than you think. Go, bring it.
That's plus 5.
X plus 5. How do you get that?
Because when you multiply a radical times a radical, if it's the same one, you get the answer.
Right, it just cancels. It's kind of like a radical 3 times radical 3 is 3. Bam. And guess what? You're done. Can I cancel the 10 and the 5? No. Plus sign. Yes.
Could you square the top and the bottom of the first? and-
Oh, question is, can you square the top and bottom? Good question. Well, you tell me.
I don't know.
This is kind of like, let's just say this is the amount of money you're going to pay me. Just pretend. I'm your employee, this is the amount of money you're gonna pay me. I don't know what X is. Hopefully X is something really small. If X is really big, I'm gonna have like 5 cents. But what if I'm looking at my paycheck from you, and I say, here's my paycheck. $20. I must have worked an hour or something. Well, tell you what, I'm sure they won't mind if I just square the top and square the bottom.
Ooh. I wouldn't mind that.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, I'm here for my check, please. You owe me, $400. You gotta see my grin on this, it's just, this is too fun. Are they gonna catch me? In other words, can you square the top and the bottom? Unfortunately, no. Because you're actually changing the number. You're actually, like, if you're squaring, I don't know what's a good example. 1/4, and you, well, let's do 3/4. And then you square it. Would I get the exact same answer? Is it just a bigger version? People are wondering, like, is it, 3/4 versus 6/8? Those are the exact same thing. I mean, if I tried to pull a fast one, hello, boss, I was getting $0.75 for my, that's 75 cents, that's pathetic. But anyway, let's say, you asked me to dust off the counter, and you're gonna give me $0.75. I'd rather have you give me 6/8. And the boss is saying, sure, here. Thank you. And it's the exact same thing, it's 75 cents, so I'm not pulling a fast one on anybody. But if I do this, by the way, I'm actually gonna get burned here. It's 9/16, this is 0.75, and this is like, this is even, hold on a second, I'm gonna cheat. And yes, I'm a geek, I have a calculator on my watch. Yeah, 0.5625. So you'd have to round to 0.56. I actually shot myself in the foot here. Because I just squared it, so I'm gonna get a lot more money. No, I got less. When you square something less than 1, it actually gets smaller. But in other words, squaring something, top and bottom, changes the answer, it changes the number, so it cannot be done. Question? Okay.
But when you square it, it's just a radical.
Right.
So you can't perfectly square 3/4.
Well, let's try this. 10 over radical 2. Let's just say there's a radical. I haven't the foggiest idea what 10 over radical 2 is. I'm going to cheat again. Look, Haley's comment. Type this in.
What?
Somebody's looking. There's a friend of mine that used to do that all the time in college. Whenever he was trying to do something sneaky, like he wanted to steal my French fries or something, I said, "Oh my God! Oh look, Haley's comment!" Oh. I'm sorry, I must have missed it. I must have been a plane. Oops. Sorry, dude. My fries are gone. It happened more than once. Okay, this is 7.07. Yeah, thereabouts. Okay. I mean, I just pulled these at random. You don't have to write these down. But let's just assume I square these. It's going to be 100 over 2, which turns into 50. So instead of $7.07, I get 50. In other words, even if there's a radical in there, squaring the top and the bottom is changing the number completely. So unfortunately, it would make it much easier to work with, but it also means you're counterfeiting, which means you're committing a felony. So that's bad. So let's see. Yeah, doing a math problem is it's not worth going to jail, even for me, usually. So questions? All you need to do if there's a radical is multiply the top and bottom in the basement. All you have to do is multiply the radical on top and bottom, no matter how ugly or strange the radical is. It can be something really, really strange. Now, let's see who remembers from yesterday.
No.
Are there any restrictions on this thing?
Yes. Maybe.
How do you restrict radicals? John?
I was just gonna say -5.
That has something to do with it.
Oh wait, the greater.
What can you not square root? What kind of numbers can you never square root? Negatives. What are you allowed to square root? 0 and positive. Is another way to say that? So this x plus 5, this stuff inside has to be what we call non-negative. So it must be non-negative, otherwise it's illegal. You can't square root a negative. You'll get a nonsense answer, it's imaginary. So, not real, I should say. But it must be non-negative. Let me put it another way. X plus 5, do you remember from yesterday what non-negative is? Yeah.
Non-negative is 0 and positive.
Yeah, greater than or equal to
0, 0.
0. That's a way of saying non-negative. Greater than or equal to 0. Can somebody solve that for me? John, go.
Minus 5.
-5. Go for it.
We get, x equals negative, or greater or less than,
Greater than or
equal to.
greater than or equal to?
Negative 5.
Got it. That's the restriction on the radical. By the way, does anybody see one other restriction? It's hard to see. Joe?
Negative 5.
-5. You were right the first time, by the way. Why is -5 forbidden as well? Yeah, because over here, -5 would divide by 0, and that's the other restriction type. So in other words, restricting the radical to non-negatives is good, but you also have to make sure you don't divide by 0. Okay, math people, oh sneaky people, look at these side by side. X is greater than or equal to -5, but x cannot be -5. What does that mean overall? There's an easier way to say that. Like, I'll allow you -5 and up, but I won't allow you -5. Elijah.
X can be greater than or equal to -4.
Well, I want to cover -4.5 though,
Oh.
or -4.6. You're very, very close. I'm gonna give it away. Yeah. Less than -5 would be bad because it'll blow it up. Watch this.
Oh.
How come? This says greater than or equal to. This says don't do the equals, which basically means if I don't do the equals, I cross that out. And you're just left with the greater than. So the restriction on this, when you're all done, is x is greater than -5. Catch that? There were two restrictions, I just kind of combined them into one. Let me just see if we can catch this. This is a little more advanced of a problem. This is not exactly the easiest thing to look and just say, oh, yeah, that's easy. Watch this. I would like you to combine these. X is greater than or equal to 2, and x is greater than or equal to 6. Let's just say there are two people on my team. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. Two people on my team, and I say, well, how many people should we have on our team? And one guy says, there has to be at least 2. I don't like working alone. And one person on a team sounds stupid. So I have to have at least more than one person. Okay, good point. And it says, I feel lonely if I don't have at least 6 people total. Like 5 other people to share feelings and things with. I'm totally making this up. But if this person once says, I need at least 2. I said, I need at least 6. How would you make them both happy? Go. Have at least 6. Does that make sense? It'll make this person happy, and this already covers the greater than or equal to 2. Does it make sense how those combine? Let's try one other. X is less than or equal to 5. X is less than 7. X is not equal to 5. Combine all 3 of those. Yeah.
So you get rid of the equal sign.
Yes, down here, you can take this not 5 and just slice that off. So now we're left with x is less than 5 and x is less than 7. Is there any way to combine those? Sorry.
X is less than 7.
Maybe.
Oh, no.
If I say like, there are,
It's 5.
stupid metaphor alert. Let's say there are a bunch of cockroaches in the house, but we can put up with some. We can try and poison them, but then you poison everybody in the house and it's bad. So we'll put up with a few of them, but not forever. And we'll say, there have to be less than 5 of them because 5 makes me break out in hives and panic. And we Well, I'm tougher than he is, but I can't put up with, unless they're less than 7. How would you make them both happy? Well, yeah, X is less than 5. In other words, if you want something less than 7 and less than 5, less than 5 covers both of them. That's called simplifying or combining inequalities. That's going to get over here. Yeah. Alrighty, let's see what y'all can do. I'm looking on page 502. No, go back on 200 pages of stuff here. No, they're not in there. Okay, yeah, 502. I'm looking on problem number, this is number 12, F as in Franklin. I'm looking at number 8. This isn't the homework. I'm actually going to do a homework problem for you. Merry Christmas. It's still Christmas until
We're on 12B.
12 what?
G. We're on 12B.
You already did 12 up? Oh, I thought you did 12. Oh! All right. Well, that's even easier then. Okay. Wow. What was my brain? I was going through all these histrionics. All right. Well, still I got all the notes for these. Looking on number 12G. I'm looking at number 7. The big huge string of those. Oh, sorry. Page 507. This one? Oh, yeah, I guess we did do those. Because, yeah, I did tell you the whole hostage story. That was before Christmas. Wow. Try this. I'm looking at number 7. I'm going to do problem number 7I. Holy moly, mackerel. Radical 2x minus 7, just a second. What?
My book goes from 506 to 523.
Ooh. Awkward.
And it's not even like the book like that.
Yes, I remember. That was the cursed book. Okay. I've got a replacement, I hope. I hope this is the right book. Yes, Glory be to God. Oh. Now, the good news is it has the right pages. The bad news is you'll have to move the cover. So here's your brand new book. No problem. As soon as you transfer the cover, just give me the old one. And put your name in the front of the new one. It's really funny. Is equal to radical x plus 9. The very first thing, they're asking you to solve for x. There are 2 immediate problems. First, there are radicals everywhere. That's annoying. Second, there are variables on both sides. That might remind you of taking out your favorite high-powered rifle and taking out a few bovines. Exactly. So a couple of cows are going to die in this problem. No real cows were injured in the making of this problem. So they say. But I need something first. Before you even start, there are 3 things to remember in this problem. 1 is shooting cows. 2 is restrictions. And 3 I'll tell you in a minute. I told you yesterday, but I'll tell you again. How do you do restrictions on this thing? There's no division, so you don't have to worry about dividing by 0. But there is a restriction you have to worry about for radicals. Yeah, okay. What kind of number can you not square root? What kind of number can you not square root? Titus? Negatives. So how do you restrict these? We just did an example up there that I erased, I'm sorry. Yeah.
2x minus 7 is greater than or equal to 0.
Yeah, first of all, this stuff under the radical has to be non-negative. And there's one other you have to check as well. You have to kind of do both, yeah.
X plus 9.
And x plus nine has to be what?
They are equal to,
Correct. Both of the radicals have to make sure there's no negative inside. So I've got to work these first before I even go. Yeah, go ahead. Leave the door cracked so you can back in. Can somebody solve those for me? Reagan, take the left-hand one.
Add 7.
Okay. What do you have so far?
2x is greater than or equal to 7.
Okay.
And then
Divided by 2. So x is greater than or equal to 7 over 2. For people who are addicted to decimals, that's 3.5. Ever read so far? What is this saying? It's saying that whatever the x's come up when you solve this thing, in order to be legal, they have to be 3.5 or bigger. You tell me right now, if I do a whole bunch of work and I come up with a solution of x equals 2, good or bad? Bad. Why did you say that? It has to be 3.5 or bigger. What if I get a dud like that? What do I do with it? I need it dramatic.
Oh, is it like,
Let's just say, here's my root of x equals 2. Oh, good, I have a solution, x equals 2. And then, excuse me, radical math police. It has to be 3.5 or bigger. But I have x equals 2, officer. Yeah, so what do you have to do?
no solution? Or
No, so, ooh, I almost got it. But, okay. But I actually had it land on here once, I was like, but yeah, if you're holding something illegal, you either hand it off to the police officer, or you throw it away, or you go to jail. In other words, if I get a solution of x equals 2, you cannot keep it. And if that's the only solution I ever got, then I'm afraid you have no solution, sir. Have a nice day.
or it's just wrong?
Yeah, so that's, yeah. How about this thing? Somebody said, yeah,
you get minus 9,
minus 9. Okay, so what do you get?
x minus x squared equal to, negative 9.
Negative 9. Can somebody simplify these two? This person is only happy if x is 3.5 or bigger. This person is happy if x is bigger than negative 9. Yeah.
So the x equals is greater than or equal to 7 over 2.
Yeah. This is more than enough to cover this. This is, I'll be happy if anything's bigger than or equal to negative 9. Well, this definitely covers it. So as long as you make this person happy, this person is happy, along with it. This is your only restriction you have to worry about. Make sure your solution is 3.5 or bigger. Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's negative 9.
Negative 9. So anything bigger than negative 9, that means like negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. If you go bigger than positive 3.5, you're definitely going to make this happy. That make sense? Let me do a number line. So here's like negative 9, and here's like 3.5. This thing says anything here or to the right is fine. This thing is anything here or to the right is fine. What would make both of them happy? Anything where it's overlapping twice. So anything 3.5 or to the right. Okay, for example, let's just say, I always come up with these dumb examples when I only have 5 seconds to think of something, but it never stopped me before. Let's just say you're running a weasel farm. I just like the word weasel, it just sounds funny. It's one of my favorite words in the English language, just because it sounds weasel. Anyway, let's say you're running a weasel farm, and you've got 2 people who are helping you set it up. So you and the other 2 people, y'all have a disagreement. How many weasels? Well, I think we should have at least 10 weasels. I think we should have at least 20. Well, I think we should have at least 30. What would make all 3 of them happy? Yeah, right.
Having 30.
Having 30. Does that make sense? The first one's happy if you have 10. 30 will definitely make it happy. Second one said we have to have at least 20. 30 will make that happy. The third one says we have to have at least 30. You see how 30 will make all of them happy? It's the sort of thing here. bigger than -9 or bigger than 3.5? If you go bigger than 3.5, it'll make this one happy. Because it's, you know, it's, as long as it's to the right of -9, this person's happy. This will definitely cover it. Okay? Next, how do you solve this beast? Here's the equation. What's making it really annoying? The radicals, I agree. How do you get rid of them? Sorry.
Square both sides.
Square both sides. Make sure you square the entire side. Make sure you don't do x plus 9. It doesn't work. I wish it did. So what does happen? It's actually kind of nice. Joe, take over. What happens over here?
The radical and the square cancel out.
Correct. How about over here?
Same thing.
Yeah. So what are you left with?
2x minus 7 equals x plus 9.
Which is a lot more friendly. Remember I said there are 3 things you had to remember? The first was restrictions. The second was shooting cows, which we'll do them in a second. The third is something called an unfair fight. Question. Is this a fair fight or no? Elijah?
No.
No, this is an unfair fight. Tell me why.
Because the square and the radical aren't like
Yeah,
equal.
square and radical have different strengths. A square and a square root would be, well, they're not happy to be beating each other senseless. Let's just do neutral. So, make sense? This is an unfair fight because the square is so much stronger than just a half radical. So, this is unfair. This is a fair fight. Square and a double square root. Those are evenly matched. This is fair. An unfair fight, does everyone remember? You can still do it. You don't have to do anything different. But there's a price to pay. What happens about your solutions? Something becomes true. In an unfair fight, what happens to your solutions? There is a chance. Yeah.
There's a 50% chance it'll be wrong, so you have to test them.
Right. All your solutions have a 50% chance of being wrong, even if you do every single step correctly. Anybody want to shoot some cows for me? Go, Elijah.
Add 7 on both sides.
You could. I want to shoot a cow first. No, I don't want to sound bloodthirsty, but
Subtract 1x.
yeah, subtract 1x, just move. Sorry. I just don't want to leave it hanging there. The cow on death row there. I mean, okay, that was too weird for me. So let's just say, keep going. So we got x minus 7 equals 9.
Then you add 7 on both sides.
Okay? So what do you get?
X equals 16.
X equals 16. By the way, congratulations, you solved it. Now you gotta see if it's legal. It's not like saying, Eureka! I just invented a new washing powder. It's nice to check if it's legal. What do you mean? Well, did you use uranium in that soap, that washing powder? Yeah, it makes it sparkle. I'm gonna need to take you down to the station. Uranium is like super radioactive and it kills people. So you can't do that in soap. It would be stupid using soap anyway, but x equals 16, check if it's legal. Look at your restriction. Does it pass the restriction? Is it bigger than or equal to 3.5? Yes, good. Now, remember, there's a 50% chance this is wrong.
That's right.
How do you tell?
Because it's bigger, you test it.
There's a 50% chance that it's going to be wrong. Test it in the original formula. Radical 2x minus 7, x plus 9. So, how do you do this again? Max, go. What do you do with that? How do you test x equals 16? Joe. Joe. Plug it in. There's an x here and an x here. Plug it in. So it's 2 times 16 minus 7. And I want to know if that's equal to 16 plus 9. What's 2 times 16? Anybody? Go. 32. What's 32 minus 7?
25.
So this radical 25 equals radical,
25.
does this work?
Yes.
Congratulations, you got your solution. X equals 16 works. It can be tedious to find out if something is legal, but it's always worthwhile. By the way, a little 30-second infomercial. Let's see who knows this. Let's just say there are a bunch of albums, musical albums that you really love at home. And somebody says, oh, can you burn me a mixed CD? Can you? Like, you burn means to put them on a CD. Like, people don't do CDs very often anymore. They just put them on
burn
MP3
music
players.
on a CD.
So burn the songs on a CD. They use a laser to burn them on.
Yeah,
So,
Oh.
let's say, so that's what I was talking about, sorry. But let's just say you burn a bunch of songs like, oh, there's a song by so-and-so and it's really cool. I'll burn that as song number 1 and song number 2 from somebody else. It's called they used to call it a mixed tape because you put it on tape first. Now it's a mixed CD. Can you do that? It's illegal. You're making an illegal copy. You do not have the rights to copy that song.
Oh.
You have the rights to copy it if you use it. Like if you have a computer upstairs and you have a stereo downstairs, can you make 2 copies for yourself? Yes, because you own it.
You can't sell it.
Or give it away.
Why?
Correct. Because if I give away, it's kind of like saying, hey, you like that, I don't know, who's a group that's still around? I don't listen to music very much except the older stuff. But, I don't know, is there a group that- Okay, sure.
Michael Jackson.
Most of them are dead, but well, he's dead too. But, I'm kind of off here.
Most of them.
All right, fine. I'm trying to think of somebody who's alive. I don't know. Rush. Yeah, okay, I think they still be alive.
Isn't there drummer dead?
Yeah,
Oh, for crying out loud.
YouTube.
There's got is everybody on YouTube alive?
Sure.
Okay, let's just say they're all alive. Okay, so hopefully Bono and, The Edge and whatever are still alive. So, those are YouTube members. I listen to a little bit of YouTube. But anyway, Joshua Tree, yeah. Anyway. So let's just say, I love you too, man. Do you have their album? Yeah. I'll copy one and burn it, and I'll give it to you. I have just deprived you two of getting money from them buying their own. And that's illegal. That's called copyright fraud.
Sure.
And this naughty one. Can't do that. Now, what can you do? You can go on to iTunes or Amazon or whatever and buy that single song for 99 cents or whatever. Then, let's just say you buy it for them. Let's say, I already own this CD, but I want to just copy that one song that they love. That's like the Joshua Tree record. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That's the only song I know from YouTube. But if I buy that online and I give it to them as a gift, perfectly legal, because I bought an extra copy. It's kind of like buying an extra CD, and I can give them the whole CD. That's perfectly legal. I mean, otherwise everybody would be in jail. But basically, as long as YouTube gets its money for every song that they sell, good to go. Now, why do I say this? It can be tedious. For when I got married, we wanted a bunch of songs for a wedding, and nobody knew the songs, so we had to put them in this little pamphlet with the music and with the notes. You cannot do that unless you have the copyright permission. If you just go into like a missile lab or something, or a missile, and you just photocopy, you've just violated the law.
We've done that before.
Now, it depends. If you're doing it for teaching purposes, it's legal. It's something called Fair Use Act. So they know that. But if you just take those and you give it to somebody else, or if you take it home and keep it forever, you just broke the law. So, what do? You go and contact. I'm recording this, aren't I? Why don't we go off on the weirdest tangents whenever we're being recorded? Sorry, but all right, whatever.
This is going on YouTube.
It's useful too. By the way, I may keep some people out of jail. Okay, last thing when we go into math, and this actually has a math point. This actually has a math point to it. So, what do? you contact whoever holds the copyright, which is usually either the composer or the company that, you know, is the agent for the composer. You write to them saying, may I please have permission to photocopy 500 copies? And they'll say, yes, we'll charge you $25 for that. And it's okay, here's a $25 check. And they say, thank you very much, happy wedding. And that's what we did. We had to chase down every single son and every single copyright owner and ask their permission. Some of them just gave permission for free. They said, oh, I'm just delighted you're using my song. Maybe people will love my song and buy my album. Okay, nice guy. And then other people are, no, we'd like to have $85 or $200 or something. And then we say, I think we need a different song. Then they buy $200 for this. But, makes sense? In other words, it can be a pain in the neck to check if something is legal. You want to use a graphic picture, like a painting or something like that, you have to make sure that the painting is either so old that it doesn't have a copyright, or that the copyright owner lets you do it. Otherwise, it's a violation. So, if you have a solution, it can be tedious to find out if it's legal, but you have to do it anyway. Check to see if it's restricted, and then check to see if it works. That's such a good life lesson too. If you invent some new little doohickey, A, make sure it's legal, which is good. It doesn't blow things up or set houses on fire or something like that. So it's legal. You know, it doesn't use uranium. And then check to see if it actually works. That's usually the two things you need for something to sell.
It works first.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There'll be no problem with that. Go ahead and test that first, and then check and see if it's legal. By the way, if it's not legal, I'm not even going to build this silly thing.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. Make sense? That is pretty much all I have for you. Pretty much all of them are like that. Your homework assignment is homework number 12G is in ghost. I am, however, going to throw out one of the problems.
Yay.
I can throw out a few of them. Please take out your pen and pencil and modify as follows. Or if you have a piece of paper, just write it down.
There's a lot.
Around number 12G, you might notice number 7 has bucket loads of problems in there. And I just lost my page again. So there it is. I would like you to do just.
One and two.
There's one.
You people. Okay, I want to do 7A through F. 7A through F.
Dang it, but you can do a.
That's it?
Well, no. Just do everything else, but 7 is huge, so in other words, I cut number 7 in half. So 7A, B, C, D, E, F, and then also do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8.
So 7I didn't know.
7I, yeah, that was a good example, and I might use it on the test, just can't hit clue, but you don't have to do it for homework.
Is there gonna be a test after this? Like,
Yes, there will.
I'm gonna not do
How
that.
about anything
Good.
already? It was
Right?
on the exam.
It was on that, part of it was on the exam. You'll see it again, so it'll be nice and fresh. Go. Fresh.
Number one.
What about number 1?
Yeah. Did you do that?
Oh, did I give you number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, thank you for reminding me. I did not want you to do that.
Yes.
Scratch off number 1.
2, 4, 5,
Not number
6,
two.
7.
Number 2.
2, 4,
Oh my
5, 6,
word.
7, 8. All of them. Can we not do
You just take
2?
them.
Scratch off 2.
Yes.
That's it.
Just
Okay,
one
lawyers.
more.
Enough.
I don't get number 4. Best teacher ever.
Top nuggies. Yes.
Don't get used
Was
to it.
the class on the stuff that we were going over today recorded?
Wait, I'm sorry, second?
Was the last class recorded?
Yes, it is on YouTube now. It took forever to get it on. Yeah, I think it posted somewhere around 8:30 last night because it took like 3 hours to get the thing to upload. I had to take the thing home and then it uploaded in about 20 minutes. Here it takes till Tuesday. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. It should be set like radical something or other. Okay? Everybody good? Yeah. Yeah, good. Quick warning, there are about 6 minutes, so plunge in, do what you can, and the rest of it's due tomorrow. It's still recording, right? Let me just put this, the actual assignment on here. This is homework number
G.
12G, and it is modified.
I know, that one.
Do not do number 1, do not do number 2, and we never do number 3.
We're going outside.
So it is this.
Just like imagine your friend coming out with.
I would like you to do 4, 5, 6, 7A through F, and 8. Does that make sense?
4 through 6, 7 through F.
4, 5, 6, 7A, B, C, D, E, F, and 8. And that's it. Okay? All right, people at home, cheerio. Good. Thank you.